Imagine lying awake in bed at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling and running the same numbers over and over again. The mortgage, car payments, groceries, student loans, everything you owe, swimming in your mind like an endless cycle. Every month, the weight of it all hangs over you, pushing you to keep calculating, wondering if this is the month you'll finally breathe a little easier, or if you'll just keep treading water. You've known the answer for years now, but you do the math anyway. The alternative? Facing the fact that this constant stress and worry is simply the reality of your life is too hard to accept. You watch your neighbor just down the street who bought a similar house around the same time. They're not wealthy, not rich by any stretch, but here's the thing. Last Tuesday, without a care in the world, they decided to take the week off. No crisis, no last-minute deadlines, no frantic scramble to make ends meet. They simply didn't feel like working, so they didn't. It's not because they're richer than you. It's because they're not doing the math anymore. And here's the real kicker. They've been living with the same burdens you have, but they've stopped being shackled by the mortgage. So, what happens when you finally pay off that mortgage? What does it actually feel like to walk through life without that weight on your shoulders? In the next few minutes, I'll take you through exactly what changes, not just with your money, but with your career, your relationships, and yes, your very sense of freedom. And by the end of this, you'll understand why that Sunday night math problem you've been struggling with will soon be a thing of the past. Let's start by understanding just how deeply this mortgage affects your life. It's not just a number on a bill, it's a constant mental burden that controls nearly every decision you make. Imagine you're a couple, both working full-time jobs, trying to make it all work. Together, you bring in a solid income of $110,000 a year. Nothing extraordinary, but decent. On paper, you're doing everything right. Yet, after taxes, healthcare, retirement contributions, and a few other necessary deductions, you're left with a take-home of about $6,800 a month. Now let's break it down. You've got a $380,000 mortgage on your home, which costs you $2,400 a month, just the principal and interest, and that's without including taxes and insurance. Then you have property taxes eating up another $380 a month, homeowners insurance, maintenance costs, and the inevitable HVAC repairs that seem to come out of nowhere. All told, you're looking at around $3,300 just to stay in the house every month. That's a huge chunk of your income gone before you've even paid for groceries or gas, and you've still got to cover your student loans, car payments, and health insurance. So, after covering all of that, you're left with about $3,500 to live on. But then, life happens. Car repairs, a trip to the doctor, a birthday party you didn't plan for. Your day-to-day becomes about scraping by. You're not irresponsible, but every decision you make, from spending on essentials to even considering a career change, is run through the mental filter of, can we still afford the mortgage? It's not just a payment, it's a constant question. Now, imagine what happens when that question disappears. When the mortgage is paid off, that weight vanishes and everything shifts. You can breathe. You can think without that pressure always lurking in the back of your mind, waiting to make you second-guess every big decision. But what does that freedom really look like? How do your choices change when the mortgage is no longer dictating your life? The answer is simple, yet powerful. Your decisions aren't constrained by the need to cover that massive monthly bill anymore. You're no longer trapped in the grind of just surviving. Now, let's talk about what you really gain when that mortgage disappears from your life. It's easy to think that the second you pay off your house, you'll suddenly be swimming in extra cash, but it's not as simple as just eliminating that monthly payment. There are still other ongoing costs that come with owning a home: property taxes, insurance, maintenance. Even without a mortgage, you're still paying for these essential expenses. For a $400,000 house, you're looking at about $838 a month for property taxes, insurance, and maintenance, and that's the reality for most homeowners. But here's where it gets interesting. When you've been paying $2,845 towards your mortgage, that money isn't all gone. Sure, some of it will be freed up, but now you've got about $2,000 of real, deployable money every month. And that's not just extra pocket change. Let's take a moment to understand just how powerful that can be. If you invest that $2,000 a month in a simple S&P 500 index fund, something safe and proven with an average annual return of about 8%, the results are staggering. In just 5 years, you could have $146,000. In 10 years, $365,000. By the time you hit 15 years, that's $693,000. And after 20 years, you'll have accumulated a total of $1.17 million. And that's just from investing what you were already paying towards your mortgage, money that was once disappearing into the ether of interest and principal. Over the course of 2 decades, your own contribution of $480,000 gets multiplied by the power of compound interest, and you end up with nearly $700,000 in extra wealth just from having freed up that money. This is the part nobody talks about when you're sitting in the bank office signing that 30-year mortgage. The bank isn't just lending you money, they're locking away your financial future. That $2,000 you could have been investing, it's been tied up in your house, and you didn't even realize how much of it was being siphoned off in interest, fees, and the weight of the debt itself. But there's another layer to this, one that a lot of people miss. It's not just about the money, it's about the mental shift. When you've been carrying a mortgage for years, every decision you make is filtered through that lens of, can I still make the mortgage payment this month? Whether it's a career change, a business idea, or even a vacation, the looming question of whether you can cover that bill keeps you locked into a life that revolves around survival. And once that mortgage is gone, that mental weight is lifted. Your decisions aren't driven by necessity anymore. They're driven by possibility. Now, let's dive deeper into the real-life impact of paying off the mortgage. This isn't just about having more money to throw around. It's about what happens to your choices once that massive monthly payment is eliminated. It's like unlocking a new level of freedom that most of us can barely imagine when we're in the thick of it. Take the Thompsons, for example. After paying off their mortgage earlier than expected, their life begins to change in ways they never thought possible. With that $2,000 a month no longer tied to the mortgage, they don't have to think twice before making big decisions. Mrs. Thompson, who had been feeling stuck in her job, suddenly feels a shift. She can now take a role that might pay a little less, but it offers her far more satisfaction and meaning. The security of the mortgage, once a prison, has been replaced with the freedom to pursue something that aligns with her values. Mr. Thompson, on the other hand, is finally able to take the leap he's been dreaming of. For years, he's talked about starting a contracting business, but the fear of financial instability, of not being able to pay the bills if things went south, kept him from taking action. Now, with no mortgage to pay and a significantly lower monthly expense, he's able to take the risk. He knows that one bad quarter doesn't mean the loss of his home. It's not about getting rich, it's about finally being able to make the decisions that align with who he really is and what he really wants to do. This shift doesn't happen overnight, but it's profound. The Thompsons haven't suddenly become millionaires, their income hasn't changed, but their life choices have. They're no longer living in constant fear of financial disaster. Every decision, from career choices to personal endeavors, is now made from a place of empowerment instead of survival. And that's the real beauty of paying off the mortgage. It's not just about the financial benefits. It's the mental and emotional transformation that happens when you're no longer chained to that monthly burden. It's the ability to live a life based on freedom, not fear. But here's the kicker. This is only the beginning. Once you've freed yourself from the mortgage, there's an even bigger opportunity waiting for you. You're not just investing your money, you're investing in your life. You can start building wealth, making smarter decisions, and creating the life you've always wanted, all because you took control of the one thing that was holding you back. As the Thompsons adjust to their new life without a mortgage, they quickly realize that the benefits extend beyond just their finances. Their health improves, their relationships strengthen, and their outlook on the future shifts dramatically. Without the constant anxiety of, can we afford this, they start making decisions with a clarity and confidence that was once foreign to them. It's not just about having more money, it's about how that freedom changes everything. Research has shown that when people eliminate debt, especially something as weighty as a mortgage, anxiety levels drop significantly. And the Thompsons aren't alone in this. People who pay off their mortgage experience profound psychological and physical benefits. Their blood pressure decreases,